or known as the mausoleum of the Emperor Qin Wang. Actually, they are not at the same place. They are about 1.5 kilometers apart. And the Terracotta Army is a collection of sculptures made in terracotta, depicting the armies of Qin Wang, the first emperor of China. It is a form of funerary art buried with the emperor in 200 to 210 BCE. So it is about 2,200 years old, with the purpose of protecting the emperor in his afterlife. The pits of the various figures are discovered by accident in 1974, when a local farmer tried to make a well. They were located about 1,500 meters east of the tomb of the first emperor, and belong to the outer range of the mausoleum burial complex. One of the four principal 7-meter deep peaks, the peak number 1 is the largest. The figures themselves are of varied heights, the tallest being usually the more of high-ranking officers. The figures include various chariots, horses. Estimates from 2007 is that there will be about approximately 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, and 520 horses, 150 cavalry horses, etc. At the moment, most of them are still buried. They haven't opened up the rest because at the moment, the technology is not there to protect the original color of the warriors. In the picture here, the little white square is the main mausoleum, and the white patch in the right side is where the terracotta warriors are. So these are about 1.5 kilometers apart. Peak 1 is about 230 meters long, 62 meters wide, contain the main army of more than 6,000 figures. Peak 1 has 11 corridors, most of which are about 3 meters wide and paved with small bricks with a wooden ceiling support by large beams and posts. This design was also used for the tombs of the nobles and would have resembled palaces, hallways when built. The wooden ceilings were covered with reed mats and layers of clay for water protecting, and then mounted with more soil, raising them to about 2 to 3 meters above the surrounding ground area when completed. This is the peak 1, the main peak. You notice a lot of the warriors are restored and standing there, and there are some empty spaces where some of the things have been removed. And you notice that there's an earth mound in the middle. Most of them are not haven't been excavated in order to protect the figures in the earth mound on there. It is understood that there might be some warrior figures still on that earth mound, which is not being taken over. About middle of the picture, we have some kind of slab, something like that. It understood as this might be the roof of the cover of this whole thing. As mentioned about, the figures are of life size, typically 5 feet 74, or 175 centimeters to about 2 meters high. They vary in height, uniform hairstyle, and according with the rank. Their faces appear to be different for each individual figures. Scholars, however, have identified about 10 basic face shapes. The original terracotta army should be in color, and this is the color depiction of what it would have been looked like. The color pigments are some grounded bones and intensely fried bones, pigment of iron oxide, cinnabar, malachite. I can't pronounce all these words. Different color, different chemicals. In Xi'an, because of the dry weather, most of these color coats will fade off in less than 4 minutes after the removal of the mud around the army. And that's exactly why at the moment they are not going to execute anymore, because they want to wait for until the technology is good enough to protect the color. So they stop the executing at the moment. Okay, a little story here. There are 3 different kneeling positions or normal. Now, at that time, there's no chair. So people have to kneel on a mat or on earth. This is the standard position. Okay, so you kneel down and your bottom on the back of your leg. This is normal position. And this is the man. Okay. So when you want to get up, have something to say, that is how you notify the rest, say, I want to say something. So they basically stand up, sit up, and then raise the hand, and then let people know you want to say something or do something. Of course, these figures are the result of investigation of the figures from the discovery. Now, this is a very interesting figure. This figure is considered to be very impolite. A wife might be divorced if found sitting like this in front of her husband. Do you know why?
Yes.
Anyone want to guess? Well, at those times, trousers is a luxury. That means you may be seeing something you shouldn't see. So it's considered impolite in this position. Okay, the next thing is the headdress. You notice this one have a kind of cloth, something like that on his head. The taller is that headdress, the higher ranking is the officer. And this one is not in any armor. So he is a clerk, judicial clerk. Another very interesting thing is quality control. We are talking about thousands of figures, take out different parts. So you will have to ask a question. At those times, how a quality control is made? How do you make sure that the thing is of quality? Unfortunately, I can't find a sample of that one, but what I know is that in each of these figures, in a specific position, usually inside, there are 3 marks. The first mark is the overall officer in charge of the whole project. The second mark is a little medium grade technicians. And then the third mark is the skilled workers who actually make that piece. That means when a piece is made, it is being checked by at least 2 superior before it is fired. These figures shows what it would have been looked like if they were in its original color. Of course, this photo is a rendered photos by adding the color afterwards, because all this color will have come off within 4 minutes, and given this amount of various there, all the color would have gone. So this is an artificial color photograph, depicting what they would have looked like if we would this originally. A close-up of the colors. Notice the details of the work. Very, very high detail amount of coloring. And they are in different positions, even in armors. Now, the original armor would probably be bamboo blocks, little blocks of bamboo being joined together by some threads. But for the terracotta variants, their armors are made of bones. Made of stones. So small pieces of stone. And the inlay is also very interesting. The upper body's inlay is the top cover the bottom, but the lower part inlay is a bottom cover the top. You know what I mean? Let me stop to share and then try to show you. Okay, now on the top, the inlay is like this. So the upper one is covering the bottom one, but in the bottom is the other way around. The bottom one is covering the top one.
Why?
Okay, let me continue to share. Now this photo doesn't represent that, so we will need to see other better photos. Here's another one from my different positions. Now these are only wearing half armor. So these are officers.
Your sharing's not come up.
My sharing is not come up. Okay,
No.
sorry. Okay, come
Yeah.
on. Okay, sorry. Let me go back to the last picture. Sorry. Okay, now this one is another one. Now these various officials, higher ranking warriors, their armor is only half of them. And obviously you see there are different numbers of these cloths on his body. I think this is an indication of their rank. That's what a lot of the scientists believe. These are rank indicating marks, a bit like the soldier's mark on the shoulder today. They are of different figures, different shapes, different face, different posture. These are, I think it's 3 different faces. Another 3 different faces.
Yeah, amazing.
This is the body shape. The body shape on both the left and the right, except the middle one, is not very common. It's only found in a few warriors. Most of them is shaped like the middle. people argue that the Chinese sculptors do not really understand human anatomy. So the few figures which show very detailed human anatomy, those on the very left and those on the very right, beside them, probably is not done by the
Recording in progress.
They would have been done by sculptors coming from the West, maybe as far as the Roman Empire. And in fact, some DNA of some of the sculptors' remains were found to be from Europe origin and Southeast Asia origin, as far down as Vietnam. So some of the people doing this terracotta army and later die, maybe because of age or whatever reason. Some of them, we found the DNAs from Europe and from Southeast Asia. That is quite interesting. Okay, the armor. Okay, this armor depict what I said. From the top on the left-hand side, yes, you see that the armor is top to bottom cover. But on the lower part of the armor, it is the other way around.
Why?
Probably more flexible, more suitable for body movement. We don't know why, but that is the kind of armor we discovered. And they were made of, the real one is made of bamboo, but the terracotta ones are made of stones. Bamboo is probably lighter. And at that time, we are not talking about very high-speed projectile like bullets. They probably is more against sharp spear. So I think the bamboo probably suits the purpose as well. It is lighter. So this is again very different from the, for example, Roman or Middle Ages armor in Europe. Middle armor in Europe basically made of chains, but the Chinese armor is made of bamboo stick together by some threads. Here's another look of the armor. So you see that the armor is not fully protected from some of these. Looking at their headdress, they are officers. So the officers' armor is not really fully protected. At least the two arms, I think, is just some kind of animal skin rather than bamboo armors.
Right.
Besides terracotta, actually there is quite a bit of bronze material, and the technique of handling bronze is actually pretty innovative, even in today's standard. In particular, there are two bronze chariots and horses. When they are discovered like that, 4 horses with a whole lump of almost like rubbish behind it. And then another 4 horses with a whole lump of rubbish behind it. But after restoration, this is another look. We see that one of them is a standing driver. The other one is a sitting driver.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this one is the standing driver on the left and the sitting driver on the right. Both of them have some kind of umbrella. The one on the left, the umbrella is upright, and the one on the right, the umbrella cover a little space, a box. Okay. The one on the left, the driver is standing there. And the driver on the right, he's kneeling down there.
Yes, sitting.
Okay, this one is with the umbrella open. There are a number of very interesting about this umbrella. This umbrella is pretty large, and it is made out of a skeleton at the bottom, covered with bronze on top. The thinnest part is only about 1 millimeter, and the thickest part of this umbrella is about 3 millimeters. And there is a mechanism. It is in the position where we see a square stick up there. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
In this part, there is a mechanism for this umbrella to tilt to different directions. Sorry. Hello? So this is a fully tiltable umbrella. They can switch to different angles. And the whole thing is made of bronze, consists of about 5,000 different parts. And some of the parts are really intricate. We will look at this a little bit later on. This is another angle of the thing. Notice the 4 horses are of different shapes and posture. This is the art drawing of the chariot. This is where he stands with the umbrella there. This is one of the horse, front end, rear end, top end, and the view from the bottom up, looking at the horse belly. This is the first horse, the second horse, the third horse in the middle, and lastly, the one on the other side. So the 4 different horses, 4 different posture. This one is the other one, which is like a box behind. Notice the box is high enough for people to
see the terracotta town. Huh?
Sorry?
Today, terracotta town. Terracotta town. Terracotta town.
Yeah. Okay, and this is
Another
another angle.
different.
Now look at this on the outside of this carriage. These are gold and silver ingrains carved on the bronze. So probably they already master the thermal expansions between bronze and silver and gold in order to make this. This is the one who is controlling the driver of the one which is close on top. This is the driver on the one which have the umbrella up there. This is the one also standing there, another angle. Another angle. At the moment, it is already covered in the bronze oxide, green oxide. The thinnest part is about 1 millimeter. The thicker part, sorry, is about 4 millimeters.
Leclerc retired when his Ferrari lost power. It was Verstappen's victory.
Frank, will you please mute yourself?
The championship for the first
Let me
time
mute everybody.
in 2022.
Okay. Come back. Yeah. Up. This is not fully restored, but if it is fully restored, it should be gold and silver. Now, the most interesting part to the archaeologists is how they make these things. The horse harness. The lower harness indicated by the lower arrow here is made of segments of gold, silver, gold, silver, gold, silver. Okay, and in between them, they are somehow soldered together. So we don't know how they are able to solder gold and silver 2,200 years ago. We don't know how they did it. The solder seems to be tin. On the arrow indicated by the upper arrow here, this is a chain, and the mechanism is very much like the chain of our watch today.
Oh.
So there are pins joining cylinders of bronze. Very delicate work. At the moment, the archaeologists haven't understand how they are possible to make it 2,000 years ago. This is the one with the umbrella covering up the thing. So this umbrella is not cannot be if up. It is entered from the rear, from the back, and when the back door open, people can go inside, and it seems to be a passenger carriage. There are side windows there on both sides, and the door is on the back. It might not be very comfortable to sit inside there on very rough surface, but I think it will be better than riding on a horseback in terms of shakiness. Okay, this is the picture I can show you. So I'll stop this and then welcome any questions. 60-something slides is still going too fast. Okay, any questions, please?
Oh, good.
Which of the pits was the chariots found in, please?
Sorry?
Which of the pits was the chariots found in?
They are in the main display museum. They were discovered in pit 1.
Oh, they were in pit 1.
They were in pit 1, and then they take it out, restored, and because this is a very rare farm, so they are in the main museum part of the mausoleum.
Yes, I saw them, but I wasn't sure which pit they actually found them in.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. I just can't imagine how 2,000 years ago, this artist made 8,000 such warriors.
Any idea, Albert, how long it took to make all those warriors?
No, we don't have any idea how long it took them. The description that is found in a Chinese history book by Sima Qin. He has only a few words describing that, but didn't mention how long it took. In terms of the main mausoleum itself, the description is that the coffin of the emperor is resting on a pool of mercury. And it is understood that the amount of mercury there is probably looking at about 100 tons of mercury. That is a very large amount of mercury. And from the historical records around that time, the total production of mercury a year is about 6 tons in China. But it is believed that the main mausoleum, which haven't opened yet, they only can use some radar imagery techniques to look at it. It's not open, so nobody knows exactly what it looks like inside. But it's believed that there is 100 tons of mercury there floating around in a peak, which represents the whole China. The mercury flows as rivers. So there should be mountains in gold and river in mercury underneath the main mausoleum, but this haven't been dug up yet. And they have done some chemical analysis around that region. The mercury level is exceedingly high, so confirming the historical description that first emperor coffin is floating on a bank of
mercury.
In terms of description, the main chamber where the emperor body rests is with a ceiling with using expensive jewels to mark the stars. So we don't know how accurate that represents. If it is very accurate, then we may have a 2,000 years old light sky to be discovered. But looking at the kind of details representing the real version from the terracotta armies, we imagine that the maps in the main mausoleum will be an accurate map of the time when Shanxi Wang died. So we don't know yet. That part we haven't opened. So people only talk about the terracotta part of the mausoleum, because let me just go back there. Okay, let me show this one small. Here, we are talking about only this part. This is where all the terracotta armies are found. And this is a square. It's more like a pyramid. Okay, this whole area is like a pyramid. The pyramid is about 400 meters tall. Not very tall, 400 meters tall. In the middle there, we know it will be the real tomb is here in the square here. And what is inside here, we don't know yet, because there's no excavation at the moment, because the Chinese archaeologists still haven't had sufficient confidence that when they excavate this part, they will get the information out as close to as good as possible. So they haven't done it yet. Yeah, by the way, most of the photographs come from this book. This is the inside cover of the book.
Albert, the direction where the soldiers face, is it something to do with where the barbarians were to the east, or wasn't there something to do with the way that the army faced?
The army faces north. Am I right? Now because the way the army faces is according to the Chinese feng shui. The Chinese feng shui is the best positions is you are in the north facing the south. So the emperor would be sitting in the north facing the south, which will be the standard direction the emperor will sit. And if that is correct, that means the warrior should be facing the emperor. So the warrior should be,
Will be facing north. Hmm.
Now, I don't know. This is from my understanding of the feng shui. May not be, may be completely wrong. Okay, just my guess. But good question. I will investigate. Any more question?
I had a question. I heard that there was only one statue that wasn't damaged. All the others were damaged. That there was
Most of them were damaged.
Yeah,
And
I thought it
there's
was
only, I think it's, I feel maybe not more than 10. I think it's more than one.
I was
Most
told.
of them, yeah,
I heard it was,
terrible situation, and that's exactly why they are not excavating anymore, because they are afraid that there will be more damage.
I heard it was a kneeling archer.
Yeah, one of the kneeling one is the most perfect one. Yes, correct.
Yeah, must be. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think it's more than one, but don't hold me on that.
The other question I've got, Albert, is that a lot of them, originally it was said that there was real weapons in the terracotta warriors had real weapons, but when the revolution came, they broke into the tomb and took some of the weapons out. Is that your understanding?
I don't know. Probably because especially during the height of the Cultural Revolution, there's a lot of damages to archaeological finds in China. And this tomb is first found in 1976. So it is just after the Cultural Revolution.
No, I
Mao
was more,
died in 1976.
I was more thinking about when after he died, there was a revolution after he died.
You mean
and
after the
the
first emperor
rebels,
death?
yeah, the rebels
No, I
supposedly
think the
broke
rebels
in.
haven't been able to open up his wounds, his
Yes.
wounds. The tombs are now pretty secure according to what is found. And the terracotta armies are discovered in 1976. Mao died in 1976, and that means these terracottas were found after the Cultural Revolution. So that might be lucky. But again, not a lot of weapons are actually found. I think some of the weapons are made of wood, which will not last that long. And of course, in the head of the woods, there will be some metal. What kind of metal is that? I don't know. At that time, Chinese should be able to manufacture iron. We found some very good archaeological weapons, but obviously not in this area, which are restored to very good value. Let me put that part into next time. I will try to also include some of the swords that were found in Chinese archaeology to show you the. But I really don't know what kind of main material they are used. But the chariots are bronze. That's the only thing we know. Or I know.
from the original time when they were actually created, so when the tomb was first done, after that, apparently, from my understanding and what they were saying when I was there, there's a lot of research that's been done as to how it was all destroyed. But it's unknown. And in some of the main areas of the setup there, they've done graphic reproductions of what could have happened with hordes of people coming through, also an earthquake. So there's various stories, but no one knows for sure. And very possibly we will never know. But they have actually graphically recreated some of the possibilities of what happened when everything did end up getting covered up and we virtually lost the knowledge that it was even there.
Yeah, you are correct. But these tombs typically will be built in secret, and the tomb builders many of them will have sacrificed when the emperor actually died within the tomb. So that part we don't know. We do find mass graves nearby. As I said, we believe these mass graves belong to the sculptors who made the terracotta army. And among them, DNA found that there are some European DNAs there and some DNA from Southeast Asia. So that is something we know. We have a mass graves. And because typically these tombs will have a lot of jewelry, gold, silver, etc. And therefore they are well hidden. People understand that you're not well hidden, it will be cracked open, stolen, and then the most important thing is not the things being stolen. The most important thing is the body will be moved by the tomb riders, and obviously the body will be put into the best feng shui position. They don't want anybody to move that. So they are quite. We know that the first emperor has a tomb. That is known in history, and the extravagance of the tombs. For example, they are made of gold, silver, mercury with jewels on the ceiling, etc. These are all described, but nobody knows where they are. Until 1976, when they dig up the terracotta army, and then they start using the ground radar to locate the positions. So this is what we know at the moment. We know that there is a little mound there, about 400 meters high. Obviously man-made because it is square. It is a rectangular mound, but nobody actually touched it. And the local people are told not to do anything on that mound for generations ahead. So probably those local people know that this might be something, but after passing many generations, the knowledge is lost. The only thing they know is that their ancestor told them not to touch this mound. Some kind of is the secret.
Albert, would they have killed a soldier for every terracotta that they had there?
Probably each terracotta figures represent a soldier, but is the soldier killed after that? We don't know.
Because
the amount of the mass graves is in the order of a couple hundred people. It's not thousands of people's graves. So I don't know. There's no details about whether actually in terms of history books, no mention of the existence of terracotta army. Totally none, no mention. There is again a very interesting thing in terms of studying Chinese history. But again, I'm not a history student, what I learned is from a couple of books which I gathered when I prepared this presentation.
It's hard to see a terracotta warrior actually representing a real life warrior in the afterlife. You'd think that somebody would have to die to accompany the emperor to the afterlife.
I
would say so, yes.
Now, by the time of the first emperor, the act of burying real people has already passed. So China do not bury real people to accompany the dead body. For example, we know that the empress isn't buried there. It's buried somewhere else at a different time. So that human sacrifice is already history 2,000 years ago in China. So we don't believe that real soldiers actually get buried together as a life sacrifice for the emperor. At least at the moment, most of the historians in China doesn't believe that. Good question. Anyone else? No?
You talked about mud in the tombs. Were the tombs filled with mud? Was there water damage there?
We don't know. Probably the tombs would have collapsed by now. Probably. But we don't know. Because obviously the surrounding area mercury level is very high, meaning that some of the mercury has leaked out. And in terms of water protection, from the ground radar detection, it looks like it has a sophisticated system to prevent water seeping into the tombs. Now, by that time, China has already got ceramic sewage pipes. I think at Roman times, now it is 200 years BC, so it will be about the same time as Roman Empire. In Roman Empire, the Roman Empire has very good hydro constructions. They have all water ducts, aqueducts, and sewer ducts as well. So is in China. China at that time is very good at ceramic or porter. So we know that at that time, China will have ceramic sewage pipes in the city already. So it will not be surprising if we can find water pipes around the real tombs of the first emperor.
Albert, I've got a question. Where, apart from warriors and so on, and for the afterlife, did he take with him food and perhaps?
It looks like there's no food there. I don't know. Maybe the food has already rotten. But again, now we haven't opened up his own tombs. Okay? We have only opened up the Terracotta army, the field. The Terracotta army there is nothing like food discovered. We have some utensils made in bronze, but these utensils, as we have seen, are mostly ceremonial. There are some ceremonial bronze objects there, like ducks, like the canes, and vertebrates. Yes, we find some of those in bronze, but we don't find any representation of food. We don't know what they eat at that time. from history, from the history book. This was a time when Chinese is able to make the malcots, a sugary, a sweet sugar made from sprouting wheats, and then use that enzyme to turn sticky rice into a sugary water, and then by boiling off the water, we make the maltose, a kind of sweet. We know that because the history book said that the soldiers of the Chen army is able to eat some of the sweet peanuts candies as a boost to their energy during wars. That's something we know from history. Let me see whether I can quickly search for a look at that one. Maltose. Maltose. Yeah. Maltose. Image.
Maltose. Is it probably maltose, is it?
Maltose. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, something like this one. This is the current version. I'm going to share screen to let you look at it. Yeah. This one. Okay. Maltose. Okay, this is available in our supermarket, in the Chinese grocery store. And they will have made with peanuts. Would be something like this. The soldiers able to carry some of this in the pocket when during the army time. And at that time, the description is they are sweet, but very, very hard, very, very hard. And they can put one in there to boost up their energy. Maybe more like this. Yeah, this is something we know that at that time they already is able to mass produce.
Maltose usually comes from rice or barley.
Yeah, maltose, correct.
Fermented from barley or rice.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Albert, is there any indication where the iron, the bronze, the mercury came from? What parts of China or where from?
No, there's no indication. But we know that China has quite a bit of different raw materials already discovered in those times. Some kind of economy, like in Europe during the Middle Ages. We have several schools. Most famous to the rest of the world is probably Confucius, Taoism, and so forth. And one of the main strengths of Taoism is these chemicals. For example, gunpowder is discovered by the Taoists when they try to find something which will make people immortal. Like everybody else, they want to live forever. So the Taoist tradition is in making all these different kind of discovery related to chemistry. So we today we can call them chemists. And Mercury is considered one which will make someone immortal because of its silvery, watery characteristics. So a lot of emperor actually was poisoned by mercury. The reason of their death is mercury poisons.
Yeah.
Now we know it's not good, but at that time they think it is something very good.
What did they use the mercury for?
I don't know. I don't know. I have to look up. I don't know. But at that time, the estimated amount of mercury production in China is about 6 tons. But the emperor's tomb is believed to have 100 tons. So it will have collected most of mercury from everywhere. But I don't know what they use for.
Maybe used in part of the soldering process, joining up the different metals.
Yeah, maybe, we don't know. Again, that soldering is still a mystery to us today. We don't know how they do it. Okay, today is a bit shorter than usual. That means I have to drum up my material next week because I didn't expect a 60-something slides go through that quick. So next week, I will be talking about Chinese music. And then probably I will also gather some information about some of the ancient shores that were discovered from archaeology and show you the kind of methodology the Chinese able to do in the past. And interestingly, the Chinese musical notation, I will try to explain to you how Chinese have musical notations. They are a little bit similar and I feel a very bit different from our modern musical notations, but we will see. We will do that next time. So if no questions, we'll finish today earlier. No? Okay.
Thank you, Albert. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you
See
very
you
much.
next time. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Albert.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.